Okay, it's recording now. Let's continue, right? So database. I mean, before we have seen the NoSQL database, right? NoSQL database, correct? NoSQL. We can write it like SQL, right? NoSQL. This is what document based database. We create object, right? Basically, you have a document. Let's say you have some kind of document, right, in the database, and then there you're gonna add object like this, like you have ID one, then name, right? Something. So that's how we store the data in NoSQL database. So we have seen that one in the MongoDB last time, right? During our one of the exercise. But in the SQL, that is a structure, structure query language, language, a structure query language. So SQL is just a language, right? SQL gives the some kind of command. Okay, it gives some command. Okay, command to do what? Basically, what are the things you're gonna do, right? You're gonna database create database. What else you can do? Now you can create table. We can do table. Now inside the table, right, we can add data, correct? Then you're gonna have update, maybe delete. You know, you're gonna read data, maybe one data or all. You can do that. So these are the things you're gonna do inside the table. So if we take this example, right, how SQL database work. Let's say this is a database. Call it maybe school, right? School. Then the name of database is school. Now inside the school, you're gonna have many tables, right? So I will write here. This database name is school. Oh, okay. Leave it in the same line, right? So we can save some space. School. Now this school can have many tables. Okay, so let's call it a a student, students, right? That is the table. So if maybe teachers like that, maybe classroom. So these are the table, right? So let's take one table called student. So student can have what? Now you're gonna create the column, right? With the ID, can have name, can have email, classroom, phone number, all these columns. Look at here, column B, C, like that, right? These are the column. Now you store data in this one, right? So student first data you insert, that will be one. Then there is some name, maybe email, right? And class maybe five, and phone number, whatever here. Okay, you can add as many as you want, right? So you design this table. Okay, you design this column first, and now you're going to keep inserting data, right, in the same here. Okay, that is one thing. We call this ID. This will be unique number. This ID will be unique number. So now what is the use of SQL, right? So SQL will let us like insert data like this using the command. Then you can have read this data, sort, basically filter, all that, like whatever we need to do with the CRUD, right? Create, read, update, delete inside the database. We can use the SQL command to do all that process, right? One more thing is the SQL is the relational database. Okay, relational database, right? What that means, relational database. Database, okay. So relational database means can establish relation between different table or even different database, right? I mean, you can even communicate with different databases, okay. So for example, even in this one, right, let's say this is the student table, student, right? Then I'm going to have maybe teacher table, teachers, right? Teachers. So teacher name is something like maybe teacher can have ID again. This is unique. Can have name, can have email, subject, what subject it is, like that, right? So you can have teacher first. Let's call it first teacher, right? Email, whatever email is there, at the rate one at the rate gmail.com. And the subject. So what subject it is? Maybe math. Okay. So we can establish the relation, right? Like maybe there is two math teacher, teacher one and two can teach, you know second teacher, right? Teacher teach the math, okay, or whatever subject. So you can establish the relation here. Like here, right? What we do is, some kind, let's say there is a way to establish relation now, for example. So you can call it maybe some kind of relation, whatever here, right? Relation with teacher, maybe, okay. So I'm just saying, right? But there is a different way to do that. This is a phone number. So there will be relation now, right? So this student learned math from his teacher now. So maybe the relation, maybe, right? So if you put teacher with ID1, right? ID1, for example. So these, which students may be having math class with one of the teacher here. So there is a relation established now, right, between the table, okay. So there is a way to do that, okay. I mean, I'm just saying in the normal, like normal English language, right? But there is a way to connect one IP, this key, right, with another one. The primary key, this is a primary key. So now this becomes secondary key inside the student, right? So every table has a primary key. Just remember that, right? And once we have that relation, I mean, you can have many tables, okay. Inside one database can have many tables, right? If you are building, let's say, uh, if you have veterinary shop, right, for example, then it can have a table for doctors, can have table for the, maybe the people who bring the animals for treatment, right? The the medical record of each animal with tag number and all that. We can even create the whole vet shop database, okay. So maybe in the one, we'll do one project, right, that create all like complete database. But with this normal understanding, let's move to our document here. So understand, I mean, understand acid, right? So we can talk about this one later, no need for now. Remember, why I don't know why I put here on the beginning, right? This is for the financial transaction for the bank, right? For example, let's say you go online and then withdraw the money from the bank, right? So you withdraw from your account, but the bank database must make sure, right, that the money is out from your account, and also you have received the money same time, okay. The balance need to be happen, right? So let's say, for example, you withdraw the money from one place and somehow the network break, right? That means the transaction, maybe it out of your account, but you did not receive the money yet. Okay, so in that situation, right? So how database handle that situation? Okay, so it has to be do reverse transaction automatically, right? Some kind of reverse transaction. So that is basically a series. Okay, so we will look at maybe one example later, or maybe in the future, right? How you can do that kind of transaction, complete transaction from A to B, A from A position to B, right? It need to happen same time. It gonna happen same time or it not gonna happen. Okay. So yeah, so let's this is just a definition of database. The SQL database is like example MySQL, PostgreSQL, right? Oracles. NoSQL database is MongoDB, you know, Cassandra, right? Or maybe other, I'm not sure, but these are the two names. We know the MongoDB. We're gonna use PostgreSQL. We can install in our computer. Even you can use MySQL, but we'll just stick to this one. Okay. So types of database. So let's look at quickly the types of database. Right? Simple like SQL, NoSQL versus NoSQL. How to create Postgres database or how to do CRUD on them, like create, read, update, delete, all that. Right. Advanced like relationship, joint transactions, all that. Okay. So these are the transactions how you can handle inside the database, right? How you joining two different tables, like how you gonna join data, right? This will come in the command later. Okay. So there are few types of database, all service different types of use case, right? But anyway, NoSQL database. So let's look at that one. Store data in a schema less, right, fashion. So what is schema less? See, in NoSQL database, right, the problem is you create the data, okay, but there is chances, right, you can store, for example, if this is your data, let's look at here. If this is your data, right, let's say one document you post in the NoSQL in the MongoDB, ID, whatever, right, one name something, okay. So next document when you create, right, when you create next document, you can add more thing here. It's possible to do that, okay, right? You can put name here. You can add anything, right? Is so it does not have to be same like above data, right? So this creates problem, in no schema. I mean schemaless database, right? Basically, it creates problem. Okay, when you read the data, now the pattern is different. Okay, so during the map, right, you might get something like you're gonna get age in one of the document, but you're not gonna find in other, right? So that will create problem. Okay, unless when we're creating a data we must be very careful, right? Very careful and add exact information like the first one, right? So there is chances to do this kind of mistake, okay, in the basically in the schema list database. But that will be the problem, right? So but the thing is extremely like extremely learn and fast way to store data, right? Lean, basically not learn but lean and fast way to store database. When we are learning in the beginning, right, it is very easy to quickly bootstrap the database. Like you don't have to do anything, just go to the MongoDB online, right? At plus create the account, get the link, and you good to go, right? You don't have to create table, you don't have to do anything. Okay, you just connect to your install the Mongoose and make a connection and start creating the, like you can create the schema, right? Basically the schema, and then you can add the data. Now you can do all the CRUD operation. So this very painless, right? I mean there is not much effort is needed. Okay, easy to use. Just remember, right? That is MongoDB. So graph database, I mean there is kind of graph database, right? And why this is used? The data is stored in the form of graph. Graph means some kind of graph, right? So if you look at any graph database example here, for example, database example. or image, right? Let's say image, just to see that graph image, right? Something like this, okay? So it stores in the form of node, right? And they have connection, different, you see the connections, right? So that's how it is stored data, okay? So what is the benefit, I mean, use for that? Especially, right, useful in case where relationships need to be stored, social network, right? So in the social media sites, I mean, you have seen the people have I mean, the users have a lot of relation, right? You connect to someone, they connect to the other people, and other people connect to other people, right? So there is so many different relationship there, okay? So in that kind of database, they use graph, right? Neo.js is the example of graph database. Now vector database, what is vector database, right? You store data in form of vectors. So let's check what is vector database, okay, and how it looks now. This is just the information, right? We're not going to do anything. So you can look at the vector image. Is that something like that? So in form of key value, okay, so there is in vector there is a key for the node and there is a value stored, right? So every time you stored one chunk of data, right, it's going to create a key and whatever the value, right? Okay, so that's the graph, like a, and that's the vector, right? So just vector basically key and value pair stored in form of key and value, right? So just remember that. Useful in machine learning and pine cone, right? Pine cone is the example. Now this is what we're going to learn, right? SQL, store data in form of rows. So we just look at here, right? Once you have table created like this, now you're going to store data in form of a row. So this is row one. You're going to have second data, third data, fourth, like that, right? In form of row. So you cannot add extra stuff here, right? If you put anything extra than the table design, it will give you error, okay? So that's the benefit, one of the most benefit, right, of the SQL database. Plus you can establish the relationship, you know easily, right? So that is also called relational database. Most full stack application use this, right? Use this MySQL, Postgres, right? What is relational database management system? DBMS, right? Database management system. A relational DBMS is a database management system that stores data in form of relation or table. Relation or table, right? This data can be accessed by right user through the use of SQL command. Okay, so SQL is the program, right, and it provides the command to run inside this database. So these are the database, but they all use SQL commands to do the CRUD operation: create, read, update, creating table, creating database, all that, right? So SQL is basically standard database query language. This is the standard language used inside relational database. Example: MySQL, Postgres. So this is just the reading part, right? Okay, let's. So here is something. I mean, step. Okay, so we complete. Where was that? Step one. I mean, this is some information on step one. Let's look at the step two. Why not to NoSQL, right? Maybe why we should avoid using NoSQL, right? Why? I mean, NoSQL, MongoDB is a good database, right? A lot of people use also, okay, for their work, easy to use. But still, maybe, right? Why not to use like MongoDB or NoSQL database? You might use MongoDB. It is schema-less properties make it ideal for a bootstrapping, right? I mean, it's very easy to use or start project, right? Bootstrapping the project, okay, very fast. But as your app grows, right, your app grows, this property makes it very easy to get data corrupted. Means you adding so many data, right? So many, you have so many documents, you adding keep changing a lot of things. So there is a chances you can add extra stuff inside objects, each object, right? If you can do that one, then when you're fetching the data, right, and mapping through the data, now you're gonna have a problem there. Okay. Basically, look at here. Different row can have different schema, right? Schema is basically the each object, each document can have different key types, key value, right there. Key types basically. You can add additional key, and that is the one of the problematic. Can lead to inconsistent database, right? So there is no consistent, means somewhere is less property, somewhere you get more property, right? Inside the object. That was the one of the biggest issue. Can cause runtime error. Okay, it's too flexible for an app that needs strictness, right? So these are some of the problems. But upside means benefit, can move very fast, you can create quickly, right? Can change the schema very easily. So why we should select SQL now, right? Step 3. SQL database have a strict schema, right? So when we creating the, remember when we creating the table, uh, let's say, okay, we and where the issue there. Okay, anyway, let's go back, right? So when we creating a database, then table, right? When you're creating a table, you have to define all this, in the advance, right? You have to define everything. Once you define that, right, during the inserting of data, you can tell this table, okay, here the number must be added, right? It must be there, or it can be optional, you can add or not, right? So if you define something must have, right, then you have to add the information. If you don't send the information, then database will give you the error message, that it will tell you that, okay, the name is required, okay, this is a required field, maybe this is optional field, right? Something is optional, but something is required. So optional is okay, you can have it or you can no, right? That is fine. But required, you can make it required, that means you must send the data. So you can predefine all these things properly, right? Set properly, so that there is no chances of having any error. Okay, so put the data that follow the schema, right? So you just follow you define the schema in the proper way, and that is what you have to follow. I mean, that when you inserting, that rule will be followed. Okay. Update schema as your app change and perform migration, right? So you can easily update if the app needed to upgrade your database, right? You can upgrade, you can add new tables, you can even change the field in the table, right? Like go back here, you can add something, inside the table, name, email address. Let's say in the future you want to add something here, you can add, right? And re-migrate. So you can have all this information, but from that point you can start again adding this field, that information also, and will be no problem, right? So that is okay. So there are 4 parts when using SQL database. So we talked about that. Basically creating database, running the database, using the library that lets you connect and put data in it. So in our case, we're going to use Prisma in the future, Prisma, right, to connect to our database and do all the CRUD operation. Okay, creating a table and defining its schema, you can do that. Inside the schema, you can define your tables, format, all that. Run queries on the database to interact with the data, like find, insert, update, delete, all these things you can do in SQL database. Okay, so fine, right? So that is all we have. We have installation of the Postgres SQL. I'm not gonna talk about this today. We will do that tomorrow, right? We're gonna, here are some information to just read through. Okay, I will bring you to something new now. Right? Let's go back, and I found something better resources which will be helpful. Okay, so this is Odin project. I have, maybe you guys have seen before. I don't know, but here is 3 things, right? Database, database and SQL, and project. Okay, So I mean, we just look at some of this stuff, right? uh, if you want, you can just read through. Here is the first assignment, right? Just watch this introduction and short video. This will be short real video, right? You can watch that. And then Khan Academy. Okay, so here is the like 1 hour class, right? You just watch through that one. Okay, just watch through that. And once we finish that one, then okay, so that is all, right? That is all you have to do in this assignment. Okay, so that will give us some good insight. And then next step is going back here, right? So if you want, you can read through. So we will use all this command, right? Once we install our database in the local machine. Okay, so these are the SQL command like select, create table, update, delete. These are the command. uh, how the various SQL clauses, right? Like where they say, if I have a table, right, and I want to get something where ID equal to something or where name equal to something, then give me, let's say name, let's say I want to have a data of all country, right? The name is France. So give me the information about the France, then I just put where name equal to France or country equal to France or like this thing. So these are the clauses, right? How to use various SQL function like average, count, sum. These are something where and have. So this clause is important, and this one select, create table, update, delete, all that. These are important, right? So quickly read through that. Not much to do. So you can even see some examples here. Let's go back. Okay, so that is all, right? The important thing what we're going to do is to practice, because I was looking somehow somewhere to practice, right? And I found this SQL Zoo. Okay, so there are, I think, let's say, some like 12, right? I have never seen all this, but I just start from the zero, right? Okay, so if you click on here, look at here, this is the table world, right? World. And there is a name, content, continent, right? That is Asia, Europe. Okay, that is continent. Area, how much area of that country, what is the population of that country, and what is the GDP, right? So this is one of the world table with this information, right? Now, I mean, there are many. Okay, it has many information. So dot dot dot, right? It's just showing up this much. So here is the introducing the world table of countries. Now it says, right, the question one, the example uses where clause to show the population of France. Note that strings should be in the single quote. So select, now how you going to use select, right? Let's say you have the table. How you going to select something from this table? Correct. So you're going to call the select command, and then the uh, basically the column name, right? The field name, like name, continent, area. So we select the population from which table? World, right? World. So the world is a table name. Okay, table name, right? So introducing the world table. So that's how it works. Select population from table. Simple. This is the command. And now you have where clause. Now you can put the clause, right? France equal to, basically name equal to France. So if you submit now, right? See, it just give you the population and the that population, right? So some of the data is incorrect. So the, okay, so fine. Submit where select the population from the world where the name is France, right? Let's look at world, and the name is France. So you did not find here. Why not? So okay, it's saying because it's saying populate the Germany, right? So that's why you have to choose here Germany. So let's do that, Germany, and submit, and it just give you the answer, right? The answer is this one. But if you want more, let's say also France, let's see if this will give us or not, right? Submit. So what the answers will be, right? Okay, I mean it just give us error because we have to follow, right, what the question is asking us to do. Okay, France. So that was the first thing to do. Okay, now if you get something error, just restore the default, click on that, right, and then move to the next one. Scandinavia, right? So what is this one? Scandinavia. Check a list, the world in, right? World in allows us to check if, so word, basically not world but word in, right? So what this command will let us do if an item is in the list, right? So select name, population from the world, right? So select name, you can select anything, right? Remember how this works. Select, you can select this name, continent, area, population, GDP, right? So you can make a selection here, name, population from world. So submit this and see what we get. Look at this result, right? Okay, but the question is now, uh, the example show the name and the population of the countries like Brazil, Russia, India, and China. So the name and population of the Sweden, Norway. I mean here I don't have. I don't know why it's missing. Okay, I don't know why it got missing, right? So where if something is missing, just create a restore. So you get the default, right? Where name in, and then you insert all that name, right, of the country. Okay, so now it says find the same thing with another country. So just make it Sweden, or you can just copy paste, right, also from here. Okay, and submit, and it should give us the, okay, so something not correct, remove that space. I don't know why I did not give the answer, right? Submit, submit, still giving a lot. So where in Sweden, so find the name and population from the world, right? Where in name in Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. So answers will be something like this. Okay, name and population, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, but we did not get, and I don't know why it's not getting. Okay, so let me try. So the name and population of the for Sweden, right? I'll just put one country for now and see if this works. Yeah, so we get the Sweden now, right? Maybe I did a copy paste and something was not matching. So you just have to match the way it works, right? Norway, so it will give us Norway, and let's put the Denmark, Denmark. Okay, so see now, right? First is select command, and you can select the, like the field from the here, right? This column name. Okay, you can select what you want to select, name, continent, area, all that, right? And then from which table, so from table name. So this is one formula you have to remember, because we are selecting something. Select the field name from table, and also you can add extra command, right, like extra clause to filter that data. Okay, so that's the thing we have to understand. So this is the game, right? We have to keep playing, just understand this. We will do all this tomorrow. Okay, the only today goal, right, to for you guys to go through this. Let's see where I am. Okay, that's the first one, right? Let's get back here. So you can basically just read through this one and try to understand. And we're going to practice all this once we install our database tomorrow. But before that, I just want you guys to get a little bit of idea, right? So the today class is just watch this introduction and second one, right? Oh, sorry, third one. I mean, you can watch this also maybe a few minutes, right? And here is the around 1 hour class, okay? Just go through that, try to understand, make a note, see command, right? If creating something, creating table, creating maybe inserting data, right? Insert, update, delete, all these commands, just write in the paper, right? As the class move, okay? Because you're not practicing in the computer, just write in the computer paper and keep watching, right? Just finish the tutorial. That is all you have to do, just to get some idea, okay? That is all, guys. So you can find all the information here, that's the step one, okay? To complete this, then tomorrow we're going to install PostgreSQL in our computer, and then try to practice all that command with example. I mean, just practice, right? So once we finish this part, then we'll be basically understand the Prisma and how you're going to use Prisma, right, to connect to our database. So this database will be in the local, right? You can even use some online free resources. I don't know if that will work or not. Neon, I tried to use, right, but it did not work for me. Okay, Neon right here. It will. This is in the cloud, right? So you just have to sign up, and once you sign up, it will give you the link, same like MongoDB, right? And that link you can use to connect directly here. Okay, and once we have Prisma, it will establish, and all the data will be stored according to the Prisma schema, right? Means the design of the schema of Prisma. You can store data, you can update, delete, and do all the operations. But these things will be difficult. I don't know, but if someone will be not able to install in the computer, right, then we'll try to use here, okay? But that is, let's not worry about that for now. So yeah, so just go through these three things assignment for today. And if someone finished, then you can go back and practice again the normal your Next.js and the Tailwind CSS exercise. So that is all.